Hello my girls, guys and pods, Galaxy here, and we're gonna talk about a book. The book I wanna talk about is named The Joker from Markus Zusak. We're gonna have this review in two parts. First a non-spoiler part and then a spoiler part. The plot about this book is difficult to explain without spoiling something, but I'm gonna try. So Ed and his friends get part of a bank robbery, but Ed, the main character, manages to stop the robber. After this, he gets sent different cards to his home who have some cryptic messages on them. The messages are really cryptic, so yeah, he finds. And then the book is kind of about him trying to find out who sends him these messages and what he should do with them. I'm really trying to say something else about the plot, but everything else kinda, I don't know, kinda gets in the spoiler territory. So I don't want to spoil this book because this book is absolutely amazing, but I'm gonna say this later again with more insight. So, the characters. The main character, Ed, is a taxi driver who's absolutely normal. Like, it sounds kind of mean when I say it like this, but he is a pretty normal, almost plain guy. But it absolutely works in this book because of what the book tries to say. So he may be a really normal guy, but that also makes it really easy to relate to him and kinda see and it makes it easy for the reader to put himself in his position. Yeah, so he drives taxi. He is a 17-year-old guy. He is in love with his best girlfriend, but she doesn't want to be in a relationship with him, and that makes him kind of sad. But the best character in this book is definitely his dog. Ed has a dog, and the relationship between him and his dog is literally a relationship of a lonely pet owner with his pet. He talks with him, they have deep discussions. He kind of annoyed with him, but he loves his dog still. He always cooks for his dog, they have breakfast together, and even though the dog really helps getting across that Ed is a pretty lonely guy if he isn't with his friends. But he's also a really lovable guy. Also, the dog is just amazing. As somebody who has a dog, I can relate so much with him, and it may be one of the best pet owner and pet relationships I ever read. And I'm really happy about this. So that's kind of everything I wanna say about Ed. He has a pretty great development in the story. So if you think, well, that sounds kind of boring, you're right. It is kind of boring, but it's really interesting to be part of his journey to be a little bit less boring. Not to say too much. His friends, who also are part of the robbery, are also pretty amazing characters. The girl that he's in love with, I already forgot her name. Well, no. Audrey. The girl that he's in love with, named Audrey, is a female character you don't see often. Like, she's really open with her sexuality. She likes to have sex a lot. She has a lot of relationships, and the reason why she doesn't want to be with Ed is pretty much because she actually cares for Ed. And you could almost say she's kinda slutty, but that's something you see not often in her book. And she still has more characteristics, except she likes sex. So yeah. She also drives taxi and got at the job as a taxi driver. So who else? His other two friends. Well, one of his friends is pretty much lazy and has no motivation for anything, which is also pretty relatable. This whole book is full of relatable characters. It's terrible. Yeah, that's pretty much everything I'm gonna say about him. But the most important friend for Ed, maybe his, well, saying best friend will be too much, but Marvin, that's his name, is Marvin. Marvin has one of the most heart-wrenching storylines I ever read for a secondary character. It's really interesting because he also is a person probably everyone of us knows, but nobody wants to be. Marvin is somebody with a terrible humor who's actually pretty mean, always kinda angry, tries to attack you with every second sentence, and yeah, is somebody that almost everybody hates. But nobody isn't, surprisingly. Yeah. He also has a terrible car that he loves, but everybody else hates, because it's pretty much shit. Yeah, it's a shitty car. And yeah, I'm really struggling to say anything without spoiling, so I'm gonna just get to what I thought about this book, and then we're gonna jump right in the spoiler part. So, I personally love this book. There aren't many books that made me feel so much and so the time. It really is like a Ferris wheel of feelings, if that's something you can say in English. Probably not, but it's a Ferris wheel of feelings. You are really high at one point, really happy, and then you kind of turn the page, and then something terrible happens. You're just like, what? Or you find something out about a character or about the next step Ed needs to take, and wow. Also, this book talks about some pretty heavy topics. Ed himself lives in a pretty poor city, you could say, and yeah, all his friends and he himself kinda have backgrounds from these kind of socially poor places. I'm not sure if everybody can relate with this, but I myself live in a pretty bad bad neighborhood. So for me, a lot of the storylines and problems they talk about are problems I personally saw or even experienced. So, but at the same time, the book talks about pretty heavy topics, but in a way that isn't demanding or talked down. It's really mature how it talks about these topics, how it works with these topics in the story, and yeah, it's something shocking, but it isn't too far away from reality. So I said the characters are sometimes a little bit plain, but I think the fact that there aren't too out there, like all of these characters are persons that you probably know. Like you know somebody who seems to attack you in every second sentence without a reason. You probably know a girl who has a lot of relationships and sleeps around. You probably can, if you are a young adult, you probably can relate to Ed, somebody who doesn't have a relationship, doesn't really have a reason why he does things. He just kind of tries to go about his day, has his dog he loves, and a really bad place to live. Weird family relationships and all these things. You probably can relate to at least one character in this book, and even if it's the guy who's really lazy and doesn't have motivation for anything, doesn't know what he should do or even if he should do something, who isn't really depressed or something, who just doesn't know what to do. I personally think it's a really amazing book for a young adult who doesn't know who is kind of at this place right now, not knowing what to do, not having probably a difficult life in any way. There are a lot of difficulties in this book, and there's probably at least one difficult situation you experienced or even are in right now. And I think it's really amazing how this book manages to treat these situations, and yeah, how they treat these situations and kinda work with them. And yeah, I personally also thought this book was really uplifting. That may sound weird if you just started to read this book, but this book is absolute. It really made me happy. When I was done with this book, I felt amazing. I felt so motivated, and I don't think every book can do this. After this book, I really felt like there's much more to live for than I thought, and yeah. I even would say, if you're right now in a difficult situation, if you're sad or in an unspeakable place right now, reading this book can really help your mood. It sounds weird, of course it's not a cure for depression or anything like this, but reading it really made me feel like the world is so much bigger than I thought, but at the same time I'm so much bigger than I thought. And all of this is gonna sound really weird if you don't know what this book is about and you didn't read it already. So I would say, if you didn't read this book, you're gonna go away right now. You're gonna leave this review, you're gonna get this book, you're gonna read this book, and I'm gonna promise you, you're gonna love it. Okay, probably you could also hate it, but I'm almost sure most of you are gonna love it. So yeah, try to get this book, read this book, and then come back, or don't come back. If I make more people read this book and makes a difference for a few people to read this book, because I know it made a big difference for me. I read this book when I was in a really bad place, and it really changed my outlook of life. And that's something incredibly powerful, which can't do any book. Like, there are books who can really make a difference in your life, and I think this book is one of them. Of course not for everyone, but try it. Just try to read it. If you think it's terrible, you can write this in the comments, because I'm really interested. Because I personally see almost no wrongdoings in this book, so if you think it's terrible, I'm really interested why you think this. And yeah, now the spoiler part. So please go away. Go away and buy this book, read this book, and then I'm gonna be really happy. So, spoiler part. This book is amazing on so many levels. And especially the ending. Like, that's why I think it's really important you read this book before you are here, because the ending is an ending that could destroy so many books. Like, it's really an ending. If I read this in another context, I probably would have hated it. And I'm almost sure that's one of the few, really few exceptions where I can read this ending and think this book is even more amazing right now. So, if you read the book, what you did, that's why you are here, right? Yeah. Then you know what I mean. The job Ed gets with the cards is that he should make a difference in the lives of the people he gets sent to. I would say it starts pretty harmless, but it doesn't. The book starts with a mother who gets raped by her drunk husband every night. And when I read this the first time, I was kind of like, oh, okay, that's a really difficult topic. I'm really interested how this book treats that, but it treats it with so much respect. It treats every one of these jobs, these things Ed gets sent to with so much respect. I personally like the most the single mother who only buys some ice cream. And well, actually the story with the grandma. I personally like the less hard topics in this book, but that's just me. Probably everyone has his own favorite topics. But he basically just gets in the life of different people and helps them. And it really changed my outlook on life. I mean, Marvin, for example, he thought he knew this guy. He thought he's just a mean asshole for no reason at all. But when he needed to help him, and he found out Marvin actually has a daughter, and that's why he is so careful with money, to say it nicely. Yeah, okay, he's greedy. It really changed it. Like, how said, at the start it kinda just seems like Marvin is an asshole, a greedy asshole. But knowing he needs this money for his daughter changed for me everything. Yeah. And the end of the book, I'm gonna just say what it is, because it's amazing. It basically just says, this is a story, and this story is a message for everybody who reads it, that you can change so many lives if you just try. And I think that's a really important message, and the book made it really amazing, so you could understand it. I felt like I could change lives after I read this book. The tiny ways Ed changed some lives, like buying ice cream, or the big ways, like being pretty much a husband for a dement old lady. It's really amazing, and this end personally made me feel really happy. Also, I'm gonna say this fast because I don't have any more energy in my camera. It's also something I personally loved is how this author can write. Like, the writing was exceptional. It's really special, and it has some really interesting ways how he plays with punctuation, like making some dots where there shouldn't be any, just to make your brain stop. Especially great I found it at the hard part of the story, where there were dots to kind of make it sound like a heartbeat. Like, it's only one thing I can remember right now on the top of my head, but the writing is almost perfect. It's funny on parts, it's really serious on parts, and it's something I never read like this. So yeah, say your thoughts about it in the comments if you have any. And now I really need to get my camera away.